Hey guys, and welcome back to the greatest fight of our age. I'm a Rubber Duck of War, and today we are doing the grand finals of Teach Me Total War. It's been amazing so far. Yesterday we ran for about 5 hours, and these guys will battle it out into different groups with 4 competitors in each group. And boy oh boy, was it a tough scrap, but we do finally have our 2 champions today. On the left-hand side, we have Duckling, going by the name of Nandan today. And on the right-hand side, we have Ree, aka Excalibur One Sword. Now, these guys were taught themselves by my son HW, as well as Falcon. We'll get those guys a little bit on later on, just have a chat about their training process. But it's going to be a best of 5 today, so a little bit of a more different format than yesterday, and the map shall be Oasis of False Hope, Drostahafen, Peak Pass, Galbaraz, and Shimmer Sword. Plenty of prizes. These guys have already won a few. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the stream. I believe we are going to have Nathan popping in just a second to say hello to everyone here. Apologies about the delay as well. There was a little bit of technical issues, but we're live now, so hello. I can see you all beautiful people in Twitch chat. Hope you guys are doing good today. And it looks like we may actually be having some High Elves versus Skaven, I think, to kick us off. But before we get in there, let's get Nathan in for a little bit of an interview. Let's go over to Discord. I believe I've muted myself, so no one can hear my screams. Boop. Hello.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going, bud?
It is good. It is good. Thank you again for joining us for the finals of Teach Me Total War. I am very excited to see how this plays out.
Oh, 100%. If it's anywhere near as good as the games we had yesterday, it's gonna be legendary.
Yes, I mean I spent this morning watching those some of their games back, and it was really good to see. I think these two are really well matched as well. I think they're gonna provide us with some really good games here, and it's going to be hopefully going down to the decider. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping we get all 5 games out of the best out of 5.
Yeah, I mean, I think these two are deserved to be in the final. They had some really tough games, and they did get the maximum points each, I think. But they also suffered losses along the way, so they're certainly not invincible. So coming up against each other, it's going to be a tough one. If I was a betting man, I'd say it's going to go to the 5th and final game.
Yes, that's what I think so as well. And yeah, each of them were beaten in the group stages, but they did all ultimately. Both of them came away with all the wins. So they are, I guess you could say, the undefeated in their groups. So deserved winners. Everyone played really well though, and I'd like to again thank everyone for taking part. Thank you for yourself, and best of luck to both Duckling and Bree in finals.
Yeah, best of luck to both of them. They're going to have to play kind of at their A game, I think, to perform today. It may come down as well to a bit of nerves. We said before we think they're pretty both evenly matched, but it's who can kind of hold their own in the finals here.
Definitely, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see the units that they picked. I know Duckling in a lot of his games was bringing a lot of really fast-moving, light, harassing units. So a lot of pistoliers and a lot of horse archers, stuff like that. But Ree, he's really good at holding his formation and staying tight and not letting the game frustrate him, where maybe some other players might get a few bit frustrations, and not letting those cracks show. So ultimately it's going to be a case of who can hold their nerve and can Duckling whittle down Ree before and do enough damage in that time as well. Yeah,
it's a real clash of styles, actually. I didn't think of it like that. So it's going to be pretty good fun. Kind of like the Excalibur, or Ree as he's called, kind of went for this overload of infantry every single time, just trying to wash the opponent away with just mass amounts of troops. As you said, Duckling was a little bit more versatile in the fact that he had some skirmish cav, some infantry, some range. It'll be interesting to see which one of those actually kind of pays dividends today.
Definitely so. Well, I'm looking forward to getting into this first game.
Yeah, sure. Do you want to quickly run through the prizes for these guys today? I know they've both already won some, but if you want to recap the people at home who maybe didn't see yesterday's event.
Of course, yes. So these two, for being in the final alone, they get, when Warhammer 3 comes out, they will be given a copy of Warhammer 3. The winner of this finals will go on to, we will send them a university tassel hat. They have graduated. The student has become the master, if you will. And we couldn't afford a lightsaber, so it's going to have to be the tassel hat, I'm afraid.
That's understandable. They're expensive.
And just worth noting that everyone who has taken part, whether it's the trainers or the trainees, we are sending them little goodies in the form of a Teach Me Total War mug as well. And if you're Falcon and my son, if you're listening, if it is your trainee that wins, then you get yourself a engraved tankard as well.
Yeah, that's very cool. I was hoping for that tankard, but I'll settle with being able to cast the finals. That's kind of big enough prize for me.
Amazing, and it has been a pleasure having you as well.
Oh yeah, man, it's been super easy to work you. It's been a really fun event, and I'm just looking forward to jumping into these games. Are we getting either of these boys on now for a bit of a interview, just to see how their nerves are doing, or are we going straight into the game?
We could see if we could bring in Ducklin. I am going to ask him if he is here. Ducklin, are you there?
Hello, I am here.
Hey bud, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see you in action. You must be feeling pretty good after yesterday.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good. I didn't actually expect to win any game, but I did better than I expected.
Yeah, man, you did really good. How was it being taught by someone how to play the game?
It was pretty good. We didn't get much training time in, but what we did get was high quality.
Have you had any chance since yesterday to do any more training, or have you just kind of relaxed and prepared yourself for this finals?
I had another hour of training last night, but not much after that.
Not much. Okay, man. Well, if you play like you did yesterday, man, you're going to be in with a really good chance anyway.
Yep, hopefully.
Awesome, dude. Well,
I've seen Rui play, and Rui is very good. He's good at breaking defenses.
Oh, very good. Yeah, that's kind of his jam. He kind of just his big old hammer that he kind of bonks on your head and crashes for your defenses.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome, dude. Well, best of luck, man. I'll see you on the battlefield.
Okay.
Awesome. Looks like he's feeling pretty confident. So we're going to hop into this first game now. It is High Elves versus Skaven, it would seem. So when the players are ready, we'll get them to jump in. So I'll let them know. Start when ready. It's good to hear from Ducklin as well. Doesn't look like he had too much time to train with my son HW, but my son obviously is one of the best coaches around. Managed to kind of drill in all the key elements of multiplayer into him. And Ducklin, as we said earlier with Nathan, super versatile, his cavalry bouncing back and forth. It could really come down to the fact, are they able to pick apart Ree's builds before they really crash into them? And it's quite a tough skill to learn skirmish, if I'm being honest. It's one of the toughest elements of Total War Warhammer multiplayer, but oh my god is it effective. If you know how to pick apart an opponent's build, you can go full cavalry, you can jump on them with single entities, whilst your range is running away and cackling into the deep. But remember, these guys have only had, I think now, 6 days to practice playing multiplayer, so I'm certainly expecting to see some slip-ups if that skirmish is pressed. But it is also quite a tough skill to counteract skirmish, chucking cheap units at them, harassing with your own light cavalry until the battle is indeed won. It looks like Mr. Ree is ready, so we're just going to be waiting on Ducklin here. Just building an army. No worries, man. No worries whatsoever. Oh, big fat stretch. I'm so pumped up for this. I'm so excited. High Elves versus Skaven's a weird one. In the current meta, Skaven are pretty solid here. You have Poison Wind Mortars, which can rain down shots from afar on the tightly packed formation of the High Elves. But this is no DLC today. No DLC, only the base game factions, including Bretonia, and anything that is free in the game. So no Poison Wind Globadiers to punish the pointy ears today, which I think evens up this matchup quite a bit. Now, cavalry can be very problematic for the Skaven. From what we've seen before of Ree, he likes to go with relatively elite infantry. I believe we saw him in a Dark Elf, Witch Elf kind of rush build before, and then a Mass Graveguard formation as well. So maybe, just maybe, we'll get to see some of my beloved Storm Vermin in action. We don't get to see them terribly often anymore, but that is due to the fact that with some of the DLCs, Skaven is such a flexible faction now, and they tend to either go Mass Rush or sit back and shoot with their long-range artillery and Warplock Jezzails. Cool. Got a little smiley face. Not sure if that means he's ready or not, but when they are, we will indeed be hopping in. It's snowing there in Michigan. Oh no! Well, hopefully your internet stays strong, Mick Rightface, so you can enjoy the action today. Who's your money on? Do you think Ducklin is going to take it away, or do you think the mighty Ree shall rule supreme alongside his Dark Master, Mr. Falcon? It should be a really good close game, I think. I'm desperately praying that it goes all the way to the best of 5. But, you know, I'm sure it'd be close games either way. We had some matchups yesterday which were 1-2-0, and the scores didn't really reflect how close the games were, and that can happen in multiplayer now and again, including in a best of 5. This could be a 3-0, but all 3 games being super crazy close. I think my favourite game, or my highlight games from yesterday, was probably some of the end ones between Dame and Mercy the Mad, with Imric charging in and the game being balanced on a knife edge and being just incredibly close. Quack, quack. Yes, let's go. Yeah, who are you guys supporting today? Ree or Ducklin? Feel free to yell quack, quack if you want Ducklin to win, Or if you want him to win, just start screaming randomly in chat. Looks like a few people say they've got a root for Ducklin here. I am a duck myself, of course, so part of me is like, oh my god, it's my son. But at the same time, you know, as tournament host, I just want good games. I just want good games. And I think both these guys deserve to win this tournament. They've played incredibly well in their groups, getting the maximum 6 points. Now, it's kind of hard to say who played better and who played worse, so who I think's favourites and who's not, because they're up against very different opponents, very different play styles, and only having that small time to practice and play, they can only really develop one form of attack or one form of defense, and just go from there. For anyone who is joining today, who didn't manage to catch yesterday's Teach Me Total War event, basically, over the last week, we have gathered 7 of the greatest gods of war and content creators in the Total War Warhammer scene, plus getting in a member from Creative Assembly to teach 8 players who have never played Total War Warhammer multiplayer before over the course of 5 days, ending up in this glorious tournament event. Yesterday's event was absolutely wild. It was really good fun, and hopefully the finals will live up to the hype. Quack, quack, yes, quack, quack. A duck is just a phoenix that isn't on fire yet. I mean, don't try that at home. Phoenix, please don't try that at home. So, let's see, I think he's ready. They're ready, awesome. And let's delve into game 1. I'm just going to double check I have indeed put a bracket up for you guys to see. I have. Oh, so professional, so smart. Let's get it cracking. Have a little sip of my drink as well, just while we warm up here. And there we go. Oasis of False Hope's really fun map. Nathan is the one who actually put me up to this map. I haven't really used it too much in my own tournaments and events, but it's a really good map. Both players can sit back and play defensively, taking the high ground, or you can rush down into the pits in the middle, where it becomes a slogfest of just blood, death, and hopefully a little bit of glory in there as well. I wonder if Excalibur is going to rush since it's vanilla. He's been rushing quite a bit. In the majority of his games, kind of going for that mass infantry swarm, not using too much cavalry just yet. It did kind of backfire when he was playing Mercy the Mad, and Mercy brought those Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. They picked apart his knights and then started picking apart the infantry. We'll have to wait to see if Ducklin did pick up on those battle tactics and try to prepare some form of counter to take them down. Here we go, loading in to the map for game 1. Now, this is a best of 5 series, guys, so plenty of time for epic comebacks and more scraps, despite who wins this first one. But in these events, best of 3s, best of 5s, from experience, winning that first game gives you so much more confidence going into the rest. So at first, let's have a look at Ducklin's build, and once again, he's been very popular so far of the newer players. We have Imric the Dragon Prince coming into battle on my favourite mount for him. Now, the dragon's really large, it's really epic, and it does so much damage, but look at this armor on Imric's horse. It is so cool. He's coming in with all his buffs to date. We also have a noble to help protect him, anti-large, very solid bodyguard, as well as a mage of life coming in with Awakening Wood, as well as Earth Blood and her staff for that little bit more magic. Looks like we have a mixture of bows, cavalry, and infantry. So in the front, we have the relatively cheap and cheerful spearmen forming a solid shield wall to hold back the tides of vermin. We then have 1, 2 units of archers and a unit of Lothran Sea Guard in that central pocket. For the cavalry today, we have very cheap Illyrian Reavers dotted all the way along, and then double Dragon Princes, which is certainly not something I'm used to seeing against Skaven because of those Warlock Giselle pressure that can really pick them apart from range. But without them on the Skaven force today, these guys are going to hit super hard, able to take down Rat Ogres and just run their way through the enemy formation and into that juicy back line. For the Skaven, it looks like he has actually switched up his tactics, which is really cool to see. We have Skirmish, so we have 4 units of Gutter Runners with Poison in the front, coming in for Reed today, and in the main battle line, it is a mixture of Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, so just cheap chaff dotted all the way around in a defensive formation. Their main job today is to protect these triple Poisoned Wind Globadiers, some of the best units in the game. They're very cheap and can do disgusting amounts of damage, but you do need to pin the enemy in place for them to be able to work effectively. With a single Plague Claw Catapult in the central pocket as well, and then leading the battle line alongside a Hell Pit Abomination, we do have Double Assassin as well as Lord Skrulk. This is such a scary hero core. Double Assassin can kill most people in the game, and Lord Skrulk is going to be coming in today with a couple of useful abilities. He has the Pestilent Birth, summoning Plague Monks to the battlefield, as well as the Clan Rat summon. He really is going to have to use them to hold back the tide of the High Elves. Should be a good fun fight. That Plague Claw Catapult is going to drive the High Elves forward. They do not have the range advantage, and as they move forward, they're going to get peppered down by the Night Runners. Although they still have, Spearmen in the front line. They're cheap, they're silver shielded, So these runners will probably have to try to maneuver around the flanks where possible if they want to get optimal damage. Awesome. I think these guys are just mentally preparing themselves here. Oh, someone's done the caster tag. I don't know if that works on Total War's Twitch. If you want to know, I'm a rubber duck of war. That is my name. You can find me in all different types of places. Mainly in your local ponds. So, the cavalry is me making a nice flank overload. This is a really good early game tactic you can learn if you're starting to just jump into multiplayer. But all your heavy units, all your dragon princes, all your lords, pit them all up on one flank and you can crash into the enemy formation, overwhelming half of their army. And if you win that half of the fight, it's quite easy then just to swarm the remaining kind of component or defensive component of your opponent. So this is a really good tactic if you're up against those mass range factions, which is something Skaven are certainly known for, though maybe not so much in this kind of pre-DLC world. Let them know, start when ready. There's no need to wait for me once you're in. Boop. And it looks like they're both pretty much set up, so maybe they're just trying to calm their nerves and get ready to have a little bit of a scrap. That's a ton of cav. That is a ton of cav. It's something that the High Elves do really good. And what I really like that Ducklin's done, he's kept one unit of cavalry on this other flank just to harass. Because if you see a flank overload, your initial instinct would be to move your Hell Pit Abomination over that side, move your assassins to go counteract the cavalry. But if you do that, it opens up a weakness on your other flank. Those Reavers can come in and really start to overwhelm them. Awesome. They're both ready. So it looks like the battle shall commence. The greatest battle of our age. Who's going to win, Mr. Ducklin or Mr. Ree? Only time shall tell. Looking at the builds, I think it's going to come down to if the cavalry can get into this back line. If they can start to overrun the Poison-Winged Globadiers, then they're not going to have too much problems getting rid of all this chaff and shooting down the Hell Pit Abomination. But we do eventually start here. Plagueclaw Catapult is moving forward, looking to come into range, and it's going to be interesting to see what he focuses down. Of course, you want to focus down the enemy range. It's very light and squishy, but if you can soften up that front line, it does enable your frontline troops to bust through and get into the juicy back pocket in the later stages of the game. First few shots are launched, and they completely miss, which is, you know, something the Skaven are known for. They have pretty cool inventions. They don't always work as they're supposed to, and unfortunately, they did completely mess up there trying to hit the Lothran Sea Guard. Second volley does come in, and this time a lovely, lovely connection on the complete wrong unit. But hey, hitting Spearman is still going to leave the world with some more dead elves. On the right-hand side, the Dragon Princes and the Reavers are starting to maneuver up. It's going to be really cool to see what the Skaven do here to try to counter it. At the moment, quite stagnant in defense. The Gutter Runners might want to move over here with the Night Runners and just slowly start to whittle these guys down and buy time for the Hell Pit Abomination to maneuver over, because otherwise the cavalry will crash in to this front line and start to take it to pieces. High Elves, I love seeing them get so aggressive despite having a load of range units. He's like, very quickly use his opponent's build, and it's been like, all right, I know I'm going to lose this range fight, so I have to move forward and have to get nice and aggressive as quickly as possible. The Night Runners and Gutter Runners are going to be retreating. They do take a decent amount of damage here. Of course, they do have some lovely resistances, but they're still rats at the end of the day with only 10 armor, so every arrow is certainly going to start to hope. And now the archers have started to line up some shots instead onto this central pocket. In comes the cavalry, a thunderous charge going uphill in the sand into the Skaven slaves. They will certainly overwhelm them quickly, but it is buying time for the Poison-Winged Globadiers to unleash the poisons of Skaven upon the Reavers, doing some absolutely massive damage. But the Nobles in, Imric's in, and all the Dragon Princes, the Hell Pit, Double Assassin, and Lord Scroll all coming over here to counterpunch as hard as possible. The Spearmen are starting to break through the front line. That's going to open up the Poison-Winged Globadiers to be jumped and put to the slaughter. Skaven slaves are just about holding on, but this massive fight is going down. A lovely play. We see the Rod of Corruption and the Liber Bubonicus going down. We need to see a rival high talisman, and we do. That is going to lower that melee attack by 40. This is such a flustercluck on the right-hand side, and the Dragon Princes, though far more elite than their foes, are really suffering due to all these debuffs being placed on them. Luckily, the Dragonhorn managed to counteract it to a point. Imric is getting slapped right now by the Hell Pit. He needs to retreat with his Dragon Princes, pull back away from those debuffs, and come back into the fight in the later stage of the battlefield. On the far side, you can see those Reavers did get driven away by the Gutter Runners, and now the Archers are being opened up and bare. The Spearmen tried pushing through where possible, but a lot of their forces started to break. The Archers continue to rain shots down on the Poison-Winged Globadiers, which is some really nice target priority, but now the Gutter Runners can simply run and reave through the back line, causing havoc as that Plague Claw catapult is raining shots down on the Archers as well. And the Skaven in a very dominant position right now. Imric and the Noble are trying to 2v1 this Hell Pit Abomination and bring that balance of power back to the even elements of the top here. Unfortunately for him, Imric is struggling. Now, he is, of course, anti-large, a bit of a beast, but he certainly doesn't have the same punch as when he's on his dragon. So the Noble surrounding, Imric surrounding, they're doing a decent-ish job, but the Dragon Princes around them are really starting to falter. Yes, they killed the Poison-Winged Globadiers, but that counter-punch from the Skaven was so tough, and Imric is now surrounded by even more Clan Rats and sneaky ratty assassins. We do have some Reavers who have rallied. They need to dive back in once more to try to save the Lothran Sea God and rescue this position, because all these troops who are running away can certainly come back and fight another day. The Noble is just about clinging on in the middle as well, though he is fighting an assassin. Unfortunately, the Mage of Life is retreating, trying to save her own skin, abandoning Imric, and with no healing, he is simply no match for the Hero Blob plus the Hell Pit Abomination. A load of shurikens get sent his way. Maybe he will survive, and Earthblood does go down on him. His health has increased now to 450, but he's leaving that Noble behind and the Dragon Princes, and they're simply getting clawed to pieces. The Clan Rat Spears, as well as the Assassin, poking down at those most noble and mighty of warriors, who are starting to flee from the battlefield, and it's looking like a relatively swift Skaven victory in Game 1. Perhaps being caught a little bit off guard there, Duckling, against this kind of relatively heavy skirmish force. We had 4 units of skirmish from the Skaven, plus catapults, plus single entities. There was so many threats to deal with, and he could only try to take on so many at one go. Lovely press getting into that back line, but unfortunately the counterpunch was too much, and Duckling just couldn't afford to stay in that backline situation with the Hell Pit there and all the debuffs. He needed to pull out and live to fight another day and maybe crash in from the other sides of the battle line. He had the mobility advantage, but he couldn't really make it pay, unfortunately. Imric the Dragon Prince, 918 damage value, not too shabby whatsoever. The other heroes really suffered. Now, of course, the Mage of Life is more of a support character. We don't mind seeing her not have super amounts of damage value, but the Noble, only 330, is a real shame. Likewise, the Spearmen in the front, there was no Poison-Wind Mortars to deal with them today. However, there was a catapult and a bucket ton of those Poison-Wind Globadiers. The Archers did a okay job, 450, 160, and 771 damage value, and the Cavalry went full Rohan style, trying to drive its way into the heart of the enemy, but unfortunately it was stopped by that gigantic Hell Pit Abomination. Lord Skrulk did a decent job. 1,429 damage value is very impressive in the short time span that he was actually in combat. His spells and items are really, really great. And the Double Assassin, though they didn't do the most huge amount of damage, Rival High Talisman is really, really nasty. The infantry just did its job. It was born to die, and die it did. In fact, quite a lot of them survived, so they failed in their mission to die, but they held back the tides of the High Elves, which is perfect to allow these Poison-Winged Globadiers to really shine. 300 damage value, 1,350 damage value from this middle unit. They only cost you like 550 gold. So that is an amazing return. 632 on the other one as well. For the Gutter Runners, they did okay. 1,215 damage value on the Hell Pit was a real standout. And I love the inclusion of this Plague Claw catapult. It's one of those risks. If your opponent has Eagle Claw bolt throwers, it's simply going to die. But it's not super expensive. And if your opponent doesn't have them, it brings so much damage to the High Elves and really puts them on the back foot nice and early on. So GG's to these guys. GG. And yep. Let's quickly move over map. So it shall be Schwarsthafen now. Let's go to the map. Another large map. And I'll update the scoreboard. And we can hop back in either with Nathan or one of the coaches if they are available for a bit of a chat to talk about that game. So let's go change the scoreboard. That is going to be Ree. He is Falcon's trainee today, going up 1-0. But this is a best of 5, so there is plenty of time yet for a comeback from Duckling.
Hello.
Hello, hello. How's it going?
It's going well. So do I talk about my plan with Skavens? Is that it?
Yeah, go for it. So this is Ree, for those who don't know. He is the guy who just managed to get a fantastic victory. That must have felt pretty good, man, getting the first win today.
Yeah, it does. I'm actually like well, the this build was like we trained this yesterday with the Falcon.
Mhm.
I trained, not we. And like it just felt really nice. I'm not really sure why it wins because I'm not really experienced at this game, but it does win because well, it's just strong. Like so much like so many meat shields to just absorb units that are way more costly for some time. The heroes, the Lord, and the Abomination Pip are just nasty to fight against, especially in a lot of blobs, which the Lord will summon a lot more. And it's just the gutter runners are also something that are very annoying, which I have I have noticed, like legit annoying. I didn't even know about their existence until yesterday, so yeah. It's just they are just super good and not really a lot of micro intensive. That's why Falcon suggested me to use them because I'm still learning how to deal with more macro. And yeah, the catapult was pretty core on this build because I wasn't supposed to rush on this build, like just move, and the catapult will just force the enemies to move towards me, which is what I want.
Yeah,
because
I feel like
my infantry isn't the best at rushing, so
yeah, I feel like it was a very... You had so many different threats your opponent had to shut down, and if you didn't shut all of them down, you were going to cause him a load of problems. As you said, you had the Poison Globadiers, which are really nice. He needs to kill them, but at the same time, he's killing them. There's a Hell Pit Abomination running around his ranks. It's a real nice build. I was very impressed, man. And you said you're still learning like micro to try to get a little bit better at the game.
Yes,
From what I've seen, man, you're pretty good. So if you keep going, you're going to be a very talented player indeed.
Thank you.
No worries, man. Well, best of luck in your next games, dude. I'll let you get back to that and get focused and start doing your picks and bans. But thank you, man, for having a little chat with us, and best of luck with your remaining games.
Thank you.
No worries. Yeah, that was Ree, who's been taught by the Dark Lord Falcon himself. Lovely to see him come as well with a bit of a different playstyle than we saw in his previous games. Perhaps Falcon was like, okay, I've seen you perform really well. Let's make you a little bit more flexible so you can take on different types of opponents. I'm sure he still has that rush style of play in his back pocket if he needs to bring it out. It's going to depend a little bit on the matchups, but I really like the idea of forcing the High Elves towards you as Skaven because it takes them way out of their comfort zone. Particularly if Ducklin was like, okay, I've got archers, he's going to have to bomb rush me, and then he doesn't. It's like, oh no, what do I do? And you try to move forward. We saw some mistakes like that as well from some of the players yesterday, where they set up a defensive formation, realized they were being outranged, and didn't move forward. They were kind of stuck. I had this plan, and it's not going to work. What do I do? But what I loved from Ducklin, though he did lose the game, he very quickly realized the situation and went full aggressive on the approach, getting that massive cavalry overload on the right-hand flank. But it was that big engagement which is what lost him the game. Rival High Talisman coming down, Lord Skrolk using all his abilities, a Hell Pit Abomination. Imrik is cool, but he can only take down so many foes in one go. It looks like... Okay. So it looks like Excalibur, aka Mr. Ree here, is going to be picking Dark Elves and banning Bretonia. That's some pretty solid stuff, I think. Bretonia's cavalry can be very problematic for the Dark Elves. And yesterday we saw the Dark Elves go for this kind of Witch Elf overload, just slaughter the front line as quickly as possible, and then hop into the back. So we're going to have to see how Ducklin kind of tries to counter that. He's just going to check the Dark Elf roster. This is a nice little tactic, by the way, for anyone new to the game. If you're going up against someone like Dark Elves and you don't really understand how they work, just take a little quick look at their roster, and you'll be like, oh, okay, this is what I would pick in this situation. Your opponent's probably thinking relatively along the same lines as well. Someone says they're enjoying the enthusiasm. Thank you. I am ready. I am so ready for some more action, some more battles, and the glory that shall follow. Now, the Dark Elves, of course, a very brutal faction, certainly able to skirmish as well. So Excalibur could come in with those Dark Riders. He is limited, of course, no DLC. Dark Elves have had quite a few now. He doesn't get the ability to bring something like Scourge Runner Chariots, but Dark Riders will certainly do the job as well. But likewise, they're pretty versatile that you can bring large creatures. You can bring Lokir Fellheart, for example, or you can go with Witch Elves, Hargneth Executioners, bad to the bones rock and roll style of play, and just try to overwhelm your opponent with mass amounts of infantry. If I'm Ducklin, what am I doing to counter the Dark Elves? Probably knowing me, I would bring Lizardmen. I am a big Lizardman fan, a Lizardman main. Krotkgar is the bestest of boys, but they do suffer against Dark Elves a little bit just due to the sheer amount of armor-piercing missiles you can bring to the battlefield. But Ducklin might be going with Empire here, which I certainly wouldn't hate whatsoever. Hellstorm rocket batteries could be a secret weapon to really drag down the Dark Elves. They have very tightly compact formations, and that can be a little bit problematic for them because the Hellstorms hit them just super, super hard. I know Ducklin is bouncing around. He's still trying to figure out what he's going to be doing. Seems like he might be bouncing over to the Lizardmen. Do it, Ducklin. Do it. I want to see the Lizardmen in my life. Oh, maybe Vampire counts. Okay, still plotting and scheming. That's absolutely fine. There's no timer on today. These guys, of course, can take as much time as they want to figure out their schemes. Oh, we need to see some dwarves for sure. Yeah, there's no mirrors allowed today, unfortunately. So the way this works, it is a best of 5. The guys get to pick one faction and ban one faction as well. If it goes all the way to the final game, what we'll do is just the guy who won the last one can do the pick and ban system again. They cannot play the same faction twice. They're not allowed to mirror match either. You can be a little bit limited, and they've only been training since Monday. So, for example, when I was training Dame, we learned 4 factions, which was very surprising. I think most people learned probably 3 factions at best. But she was just so on top of her game knowledge that we hopped straight into 4. But if you come up into a best of 5 and it goes all the way to the 5th game, I don't think either of these players will be adept with that 5th faction. So it's going to be absolute madness. Probably some builds that you really wouldn't expect. And a load of craziness. It looks like Ducklin is going to be going with Vampire Counts. A little bit of a risky decision in the current meta. We'll have to see how it does fare here. So if I'm the Dark Elf player, I'm bringing a bucket ton of Blackguard of Nagaron. Those halberd units against Vampire Counts are so nice. They deal with all the cheap chaff, can fend off Graveguard for a relatively decent amount of time, and can also take down the large threats, the Terrorgeists, the Vargulfs. They all struggle up against the might of the Blackguard of Nagaron. Likewise though, you can just bring a nice onion-style approach, lots of crossbowmen, lots of cheap troops, and try to whittle down the key targets from range. I'm sure Ducklin's been preparing, scheming, and he knows exactly what he's going to be doing. Yes, I agree with Wildboy in chat there. He says crumbling mechanics are pretty rough for new players. That is true. That is true. The fact Vampire Counts crumble is quite forgiven, actually, I think, for Vampire Count players. The biggest problem is they don't have the greatest leadership across the roster for Vampire Counts. So if you lose your Lord early on, it can be disastrous. So as long as Ducklin makes sure he takes care of his Lord, it's certainly possible. Fingers crossed here for some Wind of Death. That's what I want to see. Wind of Death down the line on the Blackguard of Nagaron will certainly wipe them out. And Ducklin, or not Ducklin, sorry, really did say he was struggling a little bit with the micromanagement, which is understandable because he's gone for some pretty huge builds. These kind of 15 to 18 stack style play, that it's quite hard to manage all your units, so Ducklin might better pull a sneaky one out on him, get some big breath attacks off, some Winds of Death, or just other trickery as well. But yeah, who are you guys rooting for here? I think we need to try to channel our power into Ducklin right now. I want this to be all the way. I want 5 games. 5 solid games, so hopefully it goes, 1-1, 2-1, 2-2, and then someone manages to take it down right at the end. Yeah, exactly. Like what Moors is saying in chat, there's a real common way of playing Vampire Counts now with Dark Elves or High Elves, which is bring a Phoenix Guard box or bring a Blackguard of Nagaron box, and you can kind of just jab and poke down the enemy from all sides, and it's so hard to break in. Now, experienced Vampire Count players certainly can do it, using a mixture of summons and cycle charging, but for a newer player, it would be an absolute nightmare. But I don't know if Ree knows that battle tactic or not. Don't know if Falcon has been teaching him the dark arts. And Ducklin might know that as well. He might have a little trick up his sleeve that we don't know about yet. And one of the coolest things that I've been enjoying about this tournament as a whole, both as a trainer, plus as watching these tournament games yesterday and today, we see so many tactics and so many new units, so many new builds that we just never see at the moment in the multiplayer scene, because these are new guys coming in with new, fresh ideas, and it really mixes stuff up. So I'm pretty excited to see how this goes after this tournament, and if people in the multiplayer scene start trying out some new tactics and mixing up their play styles, because I've seen some really interesting stuff that I'm definitely going to be copying. The Imric plays all around. Everyone seems to love Imric. It's going to be really pumped up to play with the Prince of all Dragons again sometime soon. Alright, let's have another big stretch and a sip of water as these guys get ready to rumble. Frosthafen's a pretty cool map as well. It's super large. You can play defensive. You can also kite on it, but the vampire counts certainly aren't going to be doing any kiting today. The Dark Elves certainly could. If we see a Shade group, as well as some Dark Riders and repeater crossbows, it might be a little bit scary for the vampire counts. He does have zombies and summons and so forth to drive the enemy away, and if I'm the vampire counts, I'm not leaving home in this matchup without at least 2 fell bats just to drive away those skirmishers while I kill the rest of their foursome. Wall of skirmishers without an army? Nothing. They'll just run away and flee off the edge of the battlefield as quickly as possible. Hewlin says, hopefully Falcon's student won't turn against him to bring down the Sith Lord in Total War Warhammer. You never know. You never know. He's a very talented player, and if he keeps going, Falcon might have to watch over his shoulder, and we know how the Sith work here. We know how the Sith work. Falcon can only train someone so much before they try taking him on in hand-to-hand combat. Looks like we're ready to rumble, so let's hop into this one. I'll give the lads a little last good luck, have fun. Good luck, have fun. And let's hop into this. Awesome. And here we go. Ah, it's going to be so good. I just want to see what their builds look like first and foremost. We've seen the Red Duke a fair amount in this tournament. He seems very popular. So there's a good chance we'll be able to see him in action. I'm betting half of my life savings that we're going to be seeing Marathi coming in from the Dark Elves. She's just by far and away the best lord for them. My heart says Lokir Felheart, but my brain unfortunately is going to be saying Marathi. Probably with either double Manticore or on the ground with double Assassin. We've seen that really loves his hero and lords all kind of together in a tight formation. 2 really attacky heroes to protect the lord. And we do have a dragon on the side of the field for the undead. So for Ducklin, he's on the back ropes. He needs to swing back as hard as possible. Up in the sky, he has a Larmian vampire lord. She is a bad to the bones vampire riding into battle in one of the most beautiful and yet disgusting mounts in the entire game. She's coming in with seduction. It's kind of hard to seduce someone off the top of a dragon, but I'm sure she's up for the challenge. She's coming in with pendulum as well as invocation from the heck. I really love the pendulum pick here. Pendulums and breath attacks are going to be a beautiful answer to deal with the Blackguard of Naggarond. Necromancer is coming in with Gaze and Nagash as well as Raise Dead, so a double caster build. Going to be a little bit micro-intensive, but if he does accidentally throw one away, at least he still has some access to that pool of magic. With a load of zombies in the front line, it is not a vampire count build without a horde of rotten flesh and just mumbling and bumbling zombies bouncing towards the enemy to bog them down. We have a load of skeleton warriors in the main battle line. No graveguard today, which is quite interesting. So going for the more mid-tier troops as the skeleton warriors and zombies aren't the most elite of the elite. We do have some Crypt Ghouls. We also have double Hex Wraiths, a very risky strategy because Soul Sealer will devour their souls very quickly. But if there isn't any magic damage on the field for the Dark Elves, they're going to reap really good havoc. We do have Fellbats up in the sky and Vargeist to help support the Larmian Vampire Lord. For the forces here of the Dark Elves, we do have, once again, a bit more of a defensive formation. Ree has really switched up his style since yesterday. We have a Reaper Bolt Thrower in the back here. We do, in the front line, have a load of Dread Spears. Relatively unhappy to be here, but hey, they're at the battlefield. They may as well fight. And then we have Harganeth Executioners in that central pocket. 3 units of Harganeths and 1 unit of the Blackguard of Naggarond. Double Dark Shard, and who is the hero core? It is double Assassin, and you guessed it, Marathi. I'm a psychic. I knew it was coming, and she's coming in with Soul Sealer today. Now, there is a big problem, actually, on the field for the Dark Elves, and that is the only magic attacks, I believe, in their entire army is coming from that Soul Sealer. So, Ree has to use Soul Sealer on the Hex Wraiths, or it's going to be an absolute nightmare. They're going to be driving into the back lines, reaving through the bolt throwers and the dark shards, shutting them down and starting to terror cause the enemy. So Marathi is pivotal to this Dark Elf build working today. She has to stay alive. Luckily, she does have double assassins for bodyguards. But that Vampire Lord, if she comes in at the right time to snipe when supported by the rest of her force, it's going to be a little bit problematic. So it's going to be a close one. It's going to be a close one. Awesome. It looks like Ree is ready, just waiting on Ducklin here. The Hex Wraiths, I'm a little bit worried for the Dark Elves if those Hex Wraiths don't kind of bunch up at one point together. If they separate and they attack from either flanks. Now, just because they're ethereal doesn't mean Mortal Blades can't hurt them. You can still do some damage, and we have a load of elite troops in the form of the Harganeths. and they will be able to tear apart the Hex Wraiths in long sustained combat, but still, it's not going to be super cost effective for them as they do their best samurai warrior poses here, looking pretty damn awesome. I really do like having a nice little close-up on these units now and again. You kind of forget how beautiful the models are when you're kind of tactically moving everything around from this higher point of view. Awesome. Yes. No need to wait for me. Just let them know when they hop into a battle normally, they really don't need to wait for me or anything like that. Loopy is wanting Reed to win by the looks of it. Seems like he's a big fan of the Dark Elf pick. Both armies are staring across the barren battlefield, waiting for the other to make the first move. They're probably just examining each other's builds, which is certainly a good idea. When you first load into the game, just have a quick little peek around your opponent's build, see what's there, see what can hurt you, and try to figure out what you need to kill in order to win. Something really good to know for new players, if you're looking across the field of battle at the moment as the Dark Elves, these skeleton warriors, they're not a problem. They're not going to do anything to you. Zombies, not really a problem either. Where are the threats? Well, obviously, the giant lord in the sky. We need to take her down somehow. We do have Marathi and the double assassin for that. And you look across and see these Hex Wraiths. So instantly, Ree has to figure out how he's going to deal with them. He does have the answers, but will he find them? That's going to be the big case. Bolt throws are launched, unfortunately, into some zombies, so the zombies are dying. They're quite happy about this. They didn't ask to be brought back to life, and they're just like, please, please kill me, trying to jump in the way and eat those bolt thrower shots. They will need to switch targets soon, though, and either go after this Necromancer, or the Vargeist, or the Vampire Lord up in the sky. Probably not worth going after their Hex Wraiths, simply due to that huge amount of resistance. I believe it is like 60 or something. No, 75% physical resistance. Yeah, those shots are going to do next to nothing. We do have once again, a flank overload coming in by Ducklin, so this is very similar to how he played with his cavalry. He needs to be very careful with the Vargeist. Very, very careful. And Ree's reacting really nicely. Blackguard of Nagarond are going to be pulling out. We do see a pendulum go down, and it is not dodged. He was trying to reorganize his back line. Some lovely damage coming in. No kills, though, so the first blood still hasn't gone down. Blackguard of Nagarond moving over to this side of the force, just to fend away the Vargeists. Now, Vargeists, they're decent in combat. They realistically want to be doing rear attacks or hopping on top of the Dark Shards and more squishy units. But Ducklin, he's playing patient. He's not launching in his Dragon or his Vargeist too early. He's waiting for the rest of the build to catch up before he does indeed move in. Now, the Felbats have swooped down on the Dark Shards, distracting them relatively well-timed as well. We're actually going to see an Invocation of Heck just to keep them alive as long as possible and distract these Dark Shards as the Dragon swoops in. And he's going to be coming in with a big fat breath attack, and he's aiming at the Dark Shards, doing massive damage, taking down both units to about half HP, and they might start to get forced off the battlefield as the Undead Horrors do start to move up. Now, the Vargeists are starting to split. One unit going over here onto the Reaper Bolt Thrower, the other one working as a bodyguard still for the Vampire Lord. We do see a big Hex going down, or what is this going down? Oh, it's the Web of Shadows. Web of Shadows goes down by the Assassin, and he's now going to be hunting down the Vargeist. Do they have enough time to kill the Bolt Thrower? It's going to be a close one. The Dark Shards have been dealt with. Now, the Hargreaves Executioners in the front line are problematic. What I would love to see Ducklin do is do some rear attacks. Get the Vargeist in the back of these frontline troops, and he's doing that with his cavalry. Beautiful hammer and anvils. The Hex Wraiths cleave their scythes into the backs of the Dark Elf formation. That's going to allow the far less superior Skeleton Spearmen actually break through and win, although there could be a sandwich amongst the sandwich here if the Dread Spears are able to pin in the Hex Wraiths, but of course, they can fall back through their own troops. Hex Wraiths are going to be jumping on top of the Dark Shards in the back here. That's a really good play coming in by Ducklin. Just clean these guys up, force them off the battlefield so they can't come back in the later stages of the game and bring any pain. Looks like the Vampire Lord did get down and dirty, up to 62 kills, has taken considerable amounts of damage. The double Assassin and Marathi is very scary, and they're looking to try and hunt down and finish off this second unit of Vargeist, who is desperately trying to escape, but a well-placed Web of Shadows may well pin them down, but they're just about able to take flight there and escape the wrath of Marathi and her double Assassin, who I think are constantly just poking at the Vampire Lord all day long. And the Vargeist is going to drop and land on the Bolt Thrower, trying to finish them off for good. And the Hex Wraiths in the back are really easily mopping up the Dark Shards now. They are basically no threat. Front line is being overwhelmed. We're seeing some really nice cycle charging by Ducklin. Hey, I love this. He's kind of attacking, pulling back, and swinging back in with his cavalry, hammering against the Dread Spears in the front. The Necromancer is about to go down, though. Surrounded by double Harganeth Executioners and the double Assassin and Marathi, it's not a good time to be anyone, let alone a feeble Necromancer. And this central pocket is still very, very strong for the Dark Elves. We definitely need to see some Pendulums and Breath Attacks to help even the odds before the final fight. A lovely Soul Sealer is going to go down, catching out the Skeleton Spearmen, the Zombies, the Crypt Ghouls, and the Vampire Lord. And she's taking quite a pounding now. Of course, she can heal herself up, and that's just what she does. An Invocation Heck shall be popped. Now, it's basically only the elite troops left standing, but that's all they really need today for the Dark Elves. But the problem on the field is still these Hex Wraiths. He hasn't quite figured out he needs to use Soul Sealer on them yet, and they are both pretty much full health, nice and shiny. Going to be jumping in on the Dread Spears, breaking them off the field, and then it's just a couple of the Harganeth Executioners left. Big Fat Breath Attack does go down. It's going to do some pretty decent damage. It's better, obviously, along the line, but the Harganeths have overextended slightly, and now they're going to get sandwiched between the awesome cavalry play by Ducklin as the Hex Wraiths do surround them and start to break them down. The Vampire Lord is going to finish off this Bolt Thrower. It's been taking a lot of damage, though, and Marathi is going to charge in, followed up by her wand. This Vampire Lord needs to get out of here as quickly as possible and get some heals. Those Assassins have done so much work, and they have an insane amount of ammunition, so there's no chance of that really starting to wear thin in the later stages of the game. Harganeth Executioners have been dealt with super effectively by the Hex Wraiths. This unit's terrified and running, and I think their brothers in arms will soon follow. Tiny micro mistake, we did have some Skeleton Spearmen chasing off a shattered unit for a little while, but they are now starting to return back to the field. And this is such a close game. Balance Power is slightly Dark Elf favoured. It could completely change, though, with 1 or 2 hills, or some lovely rear attacks like we're seeing once more. The Hammer and Anvil tactic mastered by Ducklin, it would seem. Yeah, these Harganeth Executioners and Dread Spears are going to do absolutely nothing. Vargeist was seduced briefly there. Oh no, it was the infantry seduced there for the Dark Elves by the Vampire Lord, giving them a cheeky wink and a wave from the back of her dragon. The Hero Blob needs to fight amongst its elite troops now if it wants to be victorious here. Get over to the Blackguard and try to support them, because otherwise the cavalry is just reaping so much damage across this Dark Elf build due to the added mobility that they have. And it's not often you see Vampire counts outmaneuvering anyone, let alone the Dark Elf forces. But the balance power is moving more and more in favor of the Dark Elves at the moment, largely due to the HP of their respective lords. Vampire Lordress is hunting down the Reaper Bolt Thrower, and it should shatter soon. Just 2 models left. They're like, don't worry, this is only round 1. We're going to be back for round 2. Hex Wraiths are jumping on top of the Harganeth Executioners. Should be enough to shatter them now. There's simply too many of the undeadly horrors. Though the Hex Wraiths have taken quite a pounding, it looks like the anti-large of the Blackguard of Nagron helping them at least somewhat up against these ethereal troops. Maybe one last breath attack is in the bank. Do we have one left? It looked like she was about to set one up, but no. Maybe all the breath attacks have already been used. Double Assassin and Marathi is just such a strong core, hunting down the Hex Wraiths and force them away from the battlefield. In the distance, Hex Wraiths doing a good job, just chase down all these Dark Elf troops. There's no need to bring them back to the battlefield. And do we have any more Vampire Count forces? We've got 112 Skeleton Spearmen in the distance. They do need to rally back because it would really help the dragon if he's fighting amongst a load of chaff. Dragon is going to come in and just punt Marathi, sending her absolutely flying away from her assassin escorts. And now it's a one-on-one fight. Marathi does have anti-large and some lovely debuffs. Going to be debuffing the Vampire Lord, and Marathi is certainly going to win that fight, though. She is a very powerful duelist, and without support, the Dragon Lord simply can't do too much. We do have more Hex Wraiths returning. The Blackguard starting to rally around those Assassins, and this is a really nice Soul Sealer this time. It is going to catch the Hex Wraiths. They attempt to dodge, but alas, it is not quite quick enough. That's going to do so much work on them. Top up Marathi. She took basically no damage from dueling that dragon, and now the Assassins are poking the dragon once more from range. Very interested to see the damage value stats on these K9 Assassins by the end of the day, because they've been shooting this Dragon Lord all day long, and look at the ammo. They still have just about a third left, or maybe even closer to half. Double Assassin as well as Marathi now going to surround the dragon and bring low the beast. Very well played by both these guys. It was just a little bit too strong, that hero core, for Ducklin to overcome. I think his hammer and anvils were beautiful. That was really top-notch play. He chased off routing troops, but he couldn't deal with Marathi, and he couldn't deal with the assassin. The only thing I can really think of, honestly, there's not too much criticism there despite the loss. was using his dragon a little more aggressively, which is very scary of Morathi on the ground, but just to mop up the enemy infantry that bit quicker. So in the later stages of the game, he has a load of chaff left, which can surround the enemy characters, but well played by both of them. That was a pretty damn insane game. The Larmian Vampire Lord did manage to get 2,098 damage value and 98 kills. Very lovely work there. Necromancer, poor fellow, he was kind of brought just, hey, if my lord dies, I still have a spellcaster, and unfortunately it was him who fell first. Zombies and skeleton warriors did an okay job. They're not really here to get much damage value. They simply box the enemy in, pin them in place for the hex wraiths to shine, who between them got 156 kills, 181 kills, 1,400 damage value, and 1,696. Bellbats did an okay job, nothing too crazy, just jumping in the back line. I quite like that. Hey, I'm going to Invocation and a Heck them to heal them up so they can fight that little while longer and distract the Dark Shards, and the Dark Shards got no damage done. 650 and 680 damage value on the Vargeist is rather tasty. Morathi got 96 kills, 1,900 damage value, and the Assassins 1,400 and 1,700. The majority of that coming from those Web of Shadows, but also just sniping down that Lord all day long. Good Spears did okay across the board, held the line. Argonef Executioners, 245, 168, and 61 kills. 968 damage value, 1,300 and 880. 1.2k damage value on the Blackguard of Nagrond with 100 kills, and the range did absolutely nothing. Even the Bolt Thrower, only 300 value, shut down quite well by the Duck. GG. Yep, it switches every round. Cool. Just let them know, and we will be moving on now to Peak Pass. So, rather worryingly, this could be the last game. It is currently 2-0 to Ree, and, you know, his trainer, Mr. Falcon. So, let's quickly update the scores here. Boop, 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 boop. There we go. And he just needs one more victory, but I have seen so many reverse sweeps in my time, it is certainly going to be possible. So I don't know if we have my son HW currently able to hop in, or Falcon, for a little bit of chat on just how their trainees did perform. But if we do, Nathan, feel free to bring them in. People seem to love Morathi. Sorry I couldn't get a close-up for you guys on Morathi today. I'll try and remember. If we see some more Dark Elves, of course, we might see them from Ducklin. I'll have a close-up just for you guys in chat, it would seem. The Air Force and Hex Raves were amazing balls. Yeah, they were really cool. They were very, very cool. They just kind of tried jumping the back line and then hammered into the rear of Ree's forces. It just wasn't quite enough, unfortunately. Not quite enough. So it looks like, yes! Yes! Dwarf fans rejoice! We are seeing some dwarfs. Ree is coming in with the legendary Dowie pick. Banning Dark Elves, a very smart ban in my opinion. It's going to be very interesting to see who Duckling goes. There's almost no chance he's going to choose Empire. Very bad matchup. Maybe we'll see some Lizardmen. Maybe we'll see some Lizardmen. I haven't seen my favorite boys today. I'm going to be very upset if we don't get to see them in action. Let me check on Discord that I haven't muted myself too much. I'm not sure if Falcon or... No, I don't know if the trainers are around. I can tell you a little bit about the trainers if they can't pop in though. So, my son HW is mainly known for hosting some amazing tournaments and being voted the best looking man not in Britain. He is the trainer today of the lovely Duckling. You can find all of my son's stuff over on Twitch and YouTube. And the Dark Lord himself, who trained Ree, is Falcon, best known for winning basically every tournament ever that he has entered, a very talented player, and is also quite well known that Palpatine does worship him as some type of god, and it looks like he's managed to part some of that wisdom and dark power to Ree today, who is playing really well. He's playing really well, his builds are strong, the hero cores are quite nasty, and it's just so far been a little bit too much for Ducklin, despite Ducklin having some really top-notch micromanagement and overwhelming a lot of the enemy forces in the front lines. Okay, it looks like he's just bouncing around. He's looking at dwarfs to see what they have to offer and how he's going to best counter them. Dwarfs predominantly known as a defensive formation, and we've seen Ree go really defensive pretty much all day, mixing up his style completely and catching Ducklin a little bit off guard, so I probably expect him to play defensive. You can go very aggressive with the dwarfs. You can bring gyrocopters, miners, Slayer rushes are very powerful, so we'll have to wait and see how he's going to do it today. Skaven could work. Yeah, we could see some Skaven. I wouldn't mind seeing Skaven. one of my favorite games was yesterday, was Skaven versus Dwarfs, actually. And we saw double Hell Pit Abomination, which is a wild card, but it paid off for the Skaven. So, hey, maybe we'll see that a little bit again today.
I believe we have my son here as well.
My son! My long-lost boy. How are you?
Papa, how are you? It's been
I'm
so
all,
long.
I'm all good, I'm all good. Have you been able to watch your little duckling so far today?
I absolutely have, and man, you got to give a big shout out to Ree and his coach Falcon. They definitely switched up the play style, playing a lot differently than we were seeing in the replays yesterday. So, shout out to him. He's doing very well, but I was really happy with Duckling's performance last round. I was having a hard time thinking of areas to give him feedback on. He played it really well, but it just didn't pan out there in the end.
Yeah, he kind of was doing everything right, which it's kind of frustrating when you do that and you're on the battlefield and you're like, I don't know how I could have won this. I thought I played it pretty top notch. Was it something you guys looked at yesterday, Ree's play style from the day before? Or did you not worry about that?
We absolutely did take a look at his replays, saw that he had some pretty aggressive builds with the Dark Elves versus Empire, and, I just know Falcon overall is known as a pretty aggressive player. He's won a few of my seasons of tournaments that I host, so, we just kind of leaned into that idea, and, lo and behold, it looks like they may have switched it up on us intentionally, knowing that we probably were expecting more aggressive playstyle, but those first two battles, very defensive builds.
Yeah, that was some sneaky plays. I'm sure Falcon's laughing at the moment in the shadows somewhere as he's schemed this. But it does look like Duckling's reacting relatively well and kind of noticing that he has to get aggressive. So that's pretty good to see, and I think he certainly has the potential to do a reverse sweep here as well. Do you have any words of encouragement for him? It's kind of tough in this situation when you're 2-0 down in a best of 5.
Only words of encouragement that I have for him are the best finals are the one where you come back and win 0-2 and sweep it. So, have faith. I've seen that happen far more times than people may believe. And, I got to keep the faith. I have faith in my little protege Duckling that he'll be able to come back and get these 3 wins. So watch out, Ree and Falcon. We're coming.
Yeah. Oh, I like that little threat at the end. And yeah, he's got the potential too. I mean, he was playing amazing yesterday. Today, he's still playing really good. It's just not quite worked out for him yet. But if he gets some momentum behind him, I think if he gets 1 win, he'll be definitely on course there. But we'll have to wait and see. I'm sure chat's rooting for him as well, trying to give him their energy as they want to see as many games as possible today.
Absolutely. Get hyped, chat. But yeah, thanks again for having me and for the invite. This has been an awesome event, and hopefully it's getting more new players interested in this awesome game. Yeah,
man, thank you so much for being part of it. For those who don't know, I kind of already mentioned it before, but my son does do a crazy amount of tournaments, has some awesome leagues as well. Definitely go check him out. You can find him on Twitch, you can find him on YouTube, you can find him on Discord. There's kind of links everywhere, and also a good place to start for beginners as well. If you want to get into some tournaments, he has some for them as well, so definitely check him out.
All right, well, thank you guys. I'll see you around.
Yeah, peace out, brother.
Bye.
Awesome. We are going to be on Multiplayer Peak Pass today. Again, another quite open map. This tournament, we've gone for relatively similar maps, so players don't have to learn too many playstyles. No troll countries, no Astalian tombs, nothing where you can get bomb rushed too early. So I think that defensive style of play is working quite well. Now, we are seeing Skaven against Dwarfs. What I want Duckling to do, and what I think Duckling should do, is rip the safety blanket from Ree as quickly as possible. Ree has been playing defensive all day. He's been enjoying it. So what do you do when he goes Dwarfs, a defensive faction? You outshoot him. Let's see triple warp lightning cannons. 2 catapults on top of that and a load of chaff, and all of a sudden Ree's going to have to switch up his game plan last second. We saw this yesterday from Dame Offensive when she brought Plagueclaw catapults against the Dwarfs, who didn't have that much artillery, and the Dwarfs didn't know what to do. They were kind of standing like, oh my god, we have to bomb rush the enemy, and it completely messes up your plan. I certainly know as a newer player, when I first hopped into games, I had a lovely battle plan. I was like, oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to do this with my cavalry. I'm going to do this with my artillery. It's going to work wonderfully. And you see your opponent's build and you can't do what you wanted to do. It's very scary. And you kind of go into this oh no, panic mode. Now, obviously, once you play the game more and more, you know how to adapt and kind of your builds tend to be a little bit more versatile as well. So you know how to deal with the enemy. But I think with these newer players, if you can pit them on the back foot, it might be a nice way in for Duckling. So mass artillery is what I would say. But likewise, going for rush, we've seen it work before. You can go crazy with Doom Wheels, for example, Death Runners. There's a load of potential for the Skaven on the battlefield today. Let's go Duckling, quack quack, yes. Yes. Looks like everyone in chat is quite pumped up. Yeah, my son HW is an awesome dude. You guys should definitely go check his stuff out. He's been around for a long time as well, so he's done a lot for the multiplayer scene. He is a one and true lad, of course. Cool. It looks like Ree's ready. I think he's been prepared with builds. So he's like got his builds ready. Doesn't matter what he's going to play against. He's just going to bring those builds, which is certainly some good practice. Just, hey, I'm going to learn how to use this army in one way. And I'll learn how to, use that against all my opponents. Because in this non-DLC universe we're playing in today, matchups change completely different, and with new players, I don't think hard matchups are quite so bad as they would be up against experienced players because they don't know how to use the roster to its full effectiveness. We saw the Dark Elves there come with a load of elite infantry. It was good, but it wasn't super optimal, and there were certainly other things he could have brought, such as more Blackguard. The Hargrave Executions, though, did do a decent job. So Skaven versus Dwarfs, generally considered Skaven favoured, but with no DLCs, it's a lot closer, maybe even slightly Dwarf favoured with the amount of cheap troops they can bring to counter kind of the hordes of crazy rat men running at them. So let's have a little sip of our drink right now as we prepare for this final scrap. Well, potential final scrap. I don't want it to be the final scrap. I want to see Duckling come back, but only time will tell. Double check that I updated the scoreboard. I did. Ah, so professional today. So professional. Yeah, just wait on Duckling. He's obviously free to take his time to plot and scheme. I wonder if they've practiced this matchup at all. Skaven versus Dwarves. It's not one you would normally expect to run into, but I was thinking we were going to see far more Dwarves in this tournament than we actually did, due to the fact they're relatively forgiving as a faction and relatively easy to learn. They translate pretty good from campaign into multiplayer. You can play them defensive, you can bring a load of guns. At top tier play, they're a little bit more Marmite, because players kind of learn how to abuse the fact that they're a rather slow faction. You can out-skirmish them, pick them apart, hit them with those big spells at the right time, or outshoot them and force them to grind their way towards you. Also, more experienced players, better at breaking down those box formations, but neither of these guys go in kind of box today. We saw a few games like that yesterday, which obviously has its pros and cons. Both of them just going for a nice push so far from Duckling, and a nice onion style of play from Ree, which I'm sure Falcon's taught him. Personally, much bigger fan of that onion style of play than a box build for multiple reasons. I think they're harder to break down, and they're a little bit more safe from those nasty spells like pendulums, burning heads, and all that stuff you see relatively often in the multiplayer scene. Are we going to get a rat jam after this game? Hopefully we... I don't know. Maybe if the Skaven win there, Gorilla. Who knows? I ride with a million rats. We bring the end of days. I am the scourge of the dwarfs. Screams Hamoud in chat. I mean, hopefully, man. I want to see this go all the way. I want Duckling to come in with a couple of victories there, bring it to the final, and have these guys scrapping it out for the crown. Scrapping it out. Rats are the true lords of the underworld. It's true. It is very true. I used to kind of stay away from Skaven a little bit as far as playing them. They have some really cool lore, very cool mechanics, all around pretty damn badasses, but their just playstyle didn't suit me. But in recent times, I've been picking them up once again. I love Itik Claw. I know we don't see him today, but on his Doom Wheel, he's so fun, just screaming and manically laughing, and that may be my favorite Total War trailer. The Warlock on the Prophet. I think that might be my favorite one. Definitely getting Mad Predator vibes from it as well. But that was really good fun. Although the Total War Warhammer 3 announcement trailer did get me just slightly hyped. Just a tiny bit hyped. I was kind of going crazy when that came out. The music really reminded me of this old TV show I used to watch as well called Sharp. With these awesome strings at the end as it raised up. But I'm really excited for Warhammer 3, and this kind of event only increases my enthusiasm even more, seeing all these new players play the game, how far they've grown in such a short time, and the kind of load of players I'm sure will come in with Warhammer 3. Though I must say, if you are looking to play multiplayer and you've kind of been watching this event and hey, these guys are doing really good over just less than a week's worth of training, now is a pretty good time to join Total War Warhammer 2 multiplayer, simply due to the fact you'll be prepared for when Game 3 does get unleashed upon the world. Bring back the classic Rome voice lines. I can try my best to do some voice lines for you guys. But I don't know if that'll go so well. I can play like a British rat or a British dwarf, and that's about it as far as my voice acting skills go, sadly. But I can try. I can try. So it's like Duckling's taking a long time. He's really contemplating this. I'll just let him know that you can start when ready. I don't know if he's waiting for me, which might be a possibility. I'll just double check Discord and make sure they haven't asked me questions and they're kind of waiting back for stuff. No, it looks like they're all good. Looks like they're all good. So he's just going to be plotting. Poison Globadiers could still be nasty here, but they're really hard to protect up against the long-range kind of fire prowess of Thunderers and Quarrelers. So I think the Skaven have to either go, yeah, that mad rush tactic, just bomb rush the enemy, get a load of Doom Wheels going in there, get your Rat Ogres and punish them, or go mass artillery and just commit to one of those two playstyles. Going a bit balanced against the Dwarves can be risky. They're a very hard-hitting faction in some ways, the Dwarves, but also very weak in other ways. So very tough, very cheap, very durable. They don't hit too hard in melee, so if you can get rid of those range tools, you're going to be in a fantastic position, and the artillery would hopefully enable the Skaven to do that, unless we, of course, bring something like triple cannon, which isn't out of the realm of possibilities. I've seen many Dwarf players bring, 2 to 3 cannons in this matchup just to outshoot the Skaven hordes. Cool, cool. Looks like Duckling's still scheming. A little smiley face there. Smiley face, of course, is going to be hiding. Quite a lot of intent of vengeance, I'm sure. Skaven without Itix DLC can struggle against Dwarf, says someone in chat. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Warlock Giselles are really nice up against Dwarfs in general. They still have a lot of potential though, the Skaven. Death Runners, the fact that they're stalked, so they can't be picked apart by the Dwarf range, and they have a load, of course, of like armor sundering with those Weeping Blades. They can do some nice work. I'd like to see a few of them in the back lines of the Dowie, as long as they don't commit to fight against Slayers, because it's not the worst matchup for them in the world, getting rid of the Slayers, but they also lose so much of their punch, and you really want to get them in on those armor-piercing units where possible. But we're going to have to wait and see. We're going to have to wait and see on the playstyles of these guys. Maybe Ree's going to completely flip it on us. This could be the biggest mind game in history. He's been playing defensive all day. He's gone Dwarves, one of the most defensive factions in the game, and he just goes aggressive. Gets like 5 Miners, 5 Slayers, and Dwarf Warriors, and he just bomb rushes the Skaven formation. It could be risky, but it could work, and it might be the mind game which wins him the Teach Me Total War trophy today. And I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be 50-50. Both these guys are ready to rumble. Let's hop in here and see the carnage. Oh, I should have had unit caps on, but all the guys' armies so far have been all good. So let's hop in. Clan Pestilence, yes, yes. Sounds like a Falcon sneak attack. I mean, Falcon's proven to be a bit of an evil mastermind so far, completely switching up his trainees' playstyle so far. And, it may happen again today if he switches up going aggressive. That's what I want to see. I don't think it's likely. I think Ree's been playing really good today. He's in this last game. Just keep your nerves. Play the same way that you've been playing. You know it's comfortable and you can punch back. But likewise for Duckling, when you're down like this 2-0, go for one of your favorite factions. Go for a safe pick, something that's going to make you feel comfortable. Do the basics well again. Don't let yourself kind of get out of control. Just do the basics and you'll be absolutely fine. And there'll be plenty of opportunities to win the day. Now, normally you see Lord Skrulk from Skaven. But yesterday, we saw a beautiful pick by Dame Offensive coming in with Queek Head Taker. Now, Queek can decapitate Thoric Ironbrow relatively quickly. He is squishy. If he gets shot by Thunderers and so forth, he can go down. And you do need to bring a separate caster, Lord Skrulk, kind of wrapping out that caster and Lord roll into one ball. But Queek Head Taker, this is one of the few matchups I think he can really shine and might actually be the better Lord option for both these guys. It looks like we have, is this just a friendly tournament or for money? There is some prizes. So both these guys have indeed won Total War Warhammer 3, which is very cool. I'm very jealous. I'm like, guys. But they both managed to win Total War Warhammer 3. And there's some additional prizes as well. Everyone's receiving like mugs and like little goodies like that. And at the same time, the winner of these trainees will also be receiving a customized like university tassel hat with the game's logo on and all that kind of awesome stuff. And the trainer who manages to win, so either Falcon or my son HW today, will be winning an engraved tankard or an engraved horn. They're kind of still debating on which one of those it's going to be. It looks like they're ready to rumble, so let's hop into this. I'm excited. Poor Tretch, utterly forgotten. Yeah, poor little Tretch. My boy, my beautiful baby boy. But, Tretch is cool. He's cool. He's got melee defense. Unfortunately, he's still, at the end of the day, a Skaven, so he's pretty squishy despite that. And he doesn't do much. That's kind of the problem of Tretch. He's a good lord to pick, though, if you don't want your lord to get sniped. And if your lord does get sniped, it's Tretch, so no one really minds in your army. They're like, it's cool. We'll just elect, the next rat to turn up as our general. So here we go into the Peak Pass. A very cool map, actually. It's rather unique because we have these large hills on both sides and this big slope in the middle. So it kind of raises the question, do you push up to take the high ground or do you stick to the low ground where you can have a little bit more of a even fight in the center? So for the glorious forces of Ducklin, his back's against the rope. He's taken a few hits, but he's looking to swing back hard. And I am a big fan of his build. We have gutter runners along the front line. That is going to be his skirmish contingent. But more importantly, we have double plague claw catapults. A tiny bit risky, but hey, he needs to risk now and again. If there is double cannon, these guys will get shut down. Plague claw catapults, though, fantastic addition out the pane to the Dowie ground forces. We then have a load of Skaven slaves, as to be expected, and some storm vermin, which is interesting. But more coolly, we have the Death Runners and Plague Monks. Actually seen elite Skaven infantry playing multiplayer? What is this? I love it. It's beautiful. So the sneaky assassin Death Runners, as well as the Plague Monks. Plague Monks don't have the greatest AP in the world, but they're pretty big damage dealers. They're frenzy, they're anti-infantry, everything you want to be up against those annoying beardlin dwarfs. We have some rat ogres as well. Looks like some on this flank, and in the central pocket, we do indeed have the Lord Core of Queek Headtaker. Once again, getting a second go, maybe at Thoric. We'll have to see who his opponent is. Look at him go. He's so mad and crazy. And then we have a Warlock Engineer down here coming in with the Warpstone Armor, which is very powerful, Warp Lightning, and more importantly, this is such a good pick. I hope H1 told him about this. The Howling Warp Gale. It can pin in gyrocopter spam and allow the gutter runners to drag down those copters. The dwarfs, they're going to be taking a defensive position up on the high ground, and it looks like it is a switch. Falcon, you devil! I don't know whose idea this was, Real Falcons. He's going for an aggressive Dowie build. We have Dwarf Warriors and Dwarf Warriors with great weapons all along the front line, led by my favorite Dowie Lord, the King Slayer, or the Slayer of Kings, whatever you want to call him. He's a bad to the bones Dowie Warrior, and he's going to be coming in just naked today. He's just an unbreakable choice, but he's brought his best buddies with him, Felix and Gotrek. They're both FLC, so they're 100% legal for this tournament, and the dwarfs seem pretty happy to have them around. They're cheering on their newfound heroes. We have one unit of Iron Drake Trollhammer torpedoes in the center, backed up by Iron Breakers, so 2 Iron Breakers and some Slayers, and another unit of Iron Breakers on this flank. No, and oh my god, 4 Iron Breakers! That is some elite troops, and with those blasting charges, they will really tear into any of the Skaven infantry. So Duckling needs to be very careful, target these guys down with the Plague Claw catapults, or get them in the rear with the Death Runners. Could be a good play. Massive fan of this Dowie build. Massive fan. I think it's really going to catch Duckling off guard. In the distance, we can see some Night Runners have been vanguarded. Unfortunately for them, it's going to be a pretty long walk back to the main fight. What the Skaven probably want to do is rotate around and actually fall back a little bit. So the dwarves, they can take the high ground. That's fine. Obi-Wan Kenobi might praise them. He's like, yes, you took the high ground. Well done. You can't lose. And then you shoot him. You just shoot them with the Plague Claw catapults. They have to come off the hill, and then you engage them where you want. And as the dwarves are doing this long march, that's when he takes his Death Runners and starts whipping them around the flanks, looking to jab their blades in between the gaps on the back of those Iron Breakers. Because if not, the Iron Breakers going to be very problematic, I think, all round for anyone to deal with, but also particularly Skaven without those long-range armor-piercing damage. How about the Slayer King? No. He's definitely the King Slayer or Slayer of Kings. Don't want any of this Slayer King rubbish. No, of course, his true title is indeed the Slayer King. You are indeed correct, chap. Yeah, for rules, we've gone relatively simple. Basically, you have to engage. Unit caps are on. You can't camp in a forest. All the basic tournament rules without kind of, adding in all the unit limitations. We're just having unit caps on today. So hopefully that answers your question in chat. I like the fact he's only popped like 1 unit of Night Runners forward, rather than like all of them, just in case he has guessed the wrong side. It's not too big of a risk. Yes. Good to go. Good to go. I can hear them readying up now. So how quickly is the Skaven going to react to this? That's going to be the big question. I love the Plagueclaw catapult picks, but they're going to be pretty hard to defend. With Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves up against Ironbreakers, it's going to be a battle of time. One thing the Skaven player could do is actually move forward the majority of his army to kind of fight out here and have the Plagueclaw catapults right at the back. Just way as far away from the main battlefield as physically possible. Now, the Dwarf build isn't hidden all completely behind this hill. I do believe the Skaven can see the majority of their forces. At least it's not telling me they're hidden, but I am in the third-person mode, so who knows if they can or can't see it. It looks like they can because they're actually going to rotate their army around and, yeah, fall back a little bit. Which is definitely a way to do this. Just make as much open land between yourself and the Dwarfs. There is still a hill, so the Dwarfs will be charging downhill, which I think is going to be a good time for them. They need to get all their advantages on their charge, because they don't have the best charge bonus. Anything they can get is certainly going to be nice for them. Night Runners are still lurking in the trees. They are hidden and waiting to pop around and jump the Dwarfs when they do get into a disadvantaged position. However, there's not that much to jump. The Night Runners will be quite well used if they hunt down these Slayers, so the Slayers don't have the best targets, and just use up all the ammunition rear attacking these troops. Despite the armor, despite the shields, you can still do damage or shoot the great weapons. They have 85 armor, which is pretty impressive, but unfortunately for them, they are not shielded. Gotrek is leading the force. He is the greatest and worst Slayer in existence. He's killed some of the greatest demons known to mankind and dwarfkind, killed dragons, killed legendary lords, but a Slayer's Oath is to die in heroic fashion, and he's not been able to pull that bit off yet. So Gotrek and Ungrim both going to be trying to outdo each other today and see who is actually the better Slayer. I prefer Ungrim personally. I think he's got a cooler mohawk. But, you know, Gotrek has an eye patch, and that's got to count for something. Skaven are going to be moving forward with their Death Runners, just looking to get them out on the flanks and into decent positions. And the Plagueclaw catapults are starting to unleash hell upon the front line of the Dwarfs. And that is a big hit off the gate. 3 of the 4 shots connecting relatively well, and a few dead Dowie. I'm sure there's going to be a few more grudges going into the book by the end of this battle. Death Runners taking a very wide approach. I like this, to stay as hidden as physically possible. We do need to see these Night Runners moving again, and they are actually now starting to come over to flank the Dwarfs, who shall be ensnared by the Skaven. These Clan Rats and Skaven Slaves, they're fighting really close right now to the Plagueclaw catapult. I think they should be sent forward to actually be fighting out here a little bit more, to pin in the enemy and buy more time, or as much time physically possible, for these Plagueclaw catapults to dish out the pain, because they're going to need them to whittle down some of the more elite units in this Dowie roster. Dwarf Warriors take a few shots, but no casualties just yet on that unit. They're loving it and are absolutely fine, just pointing their middle fingers and sticking out their tongues at the Skaven on the warpath and the approach. Dwarf Warriors raise their shields. Not sure those shields are going to do too good up against gigantic balls of warpstone flying at them, but I'm sure it gives them a little bit of comfort. Death Runners continue to rotate around. We've got some more hidden in the trees, and it looks like the Night Runners are really starting to push to get as aggressive and as quickly as possible onto the Slayers and the enemy back line. More shots are currently aiming at the Dwarf Warriors. They probably need to start switching soon to the Ironbreakers, realizing that they are probably the biggest threat to this Skaven build as a whole. The Night Runners and Gutter Runners are going to start approaching the enemy now, just to throw a few of those perils, a few shurikens in their face, before, no doubt, retreating back to their homes once more once their damage is dealt. Dwarf Warriors not having the best days, but as soon as they do engage with the enemy, I'm sure things will be going far better for them. And that Deadly Hero Core is on the approach, and it's certainly going to be enough to overwhelm Queek Headtaker. He can probably kill any of these guys one-on-one, but all 3 at the same time is going to be a little bit scary. Dwarf Warriors do engage now with the Skaven Slaves along the front line, and it's pretty hectic down here on the ground. Dwarf Warriors should be able to cleave their way through the Skaven relatively quickly, particularly with heroes like a Gotrek and Ungrim running in to support them. Felix is going to be very nice at hunting down such units, but in the back, the Death Runners have sprung their trap, jumping on the Ironbreakers before they can use their blasting charges. Lovely catch there by Ducklin, as well as bringing some Warp Lightning down upon the Dwarf Warriors, bringing that really nasty pain. Now, the Plagueclaw catapults are doing some fantastic work, firing point-blank range now into the Dwarf Warriors, really starting to soften them up. Plague Monks are engaged by Dwarfs on the flank, and they're going to get some support here from the Rat Ogres. We do have Death Runners running into the rear, scuttling as quickly as possible to try to take down the Ironbreakers. We do have some Iron Drakes here, but they don't have the best targets, so maybe they're not the biggest threat today on the battlefield. The Hero Corps is cleaving their way through Clan Rats, doing a relatively decent job. Gutter Runners are trying to hold them back now, but those Plague Core catapults are open for the taking. What does Ducklin do? Does he commit his Gutter Runners forward to pin the enemy in place? Does he drop his artillery pieces, or does he get off 1 or 2 last volleys? It looks like he's sticking to try to get those volleys, though there's a lot of Gutter Runners nearby, and they might be able to save them. Quick Headtaker is trying his best to take down the Warriors of Legend amongst the Dowie ranks. But Queek is but one rat at the end of the day, and Ungrim does hit very hard. Gotrek and Felix at his sides, slicing and dicing, and it looks like Queek is staggering quite badly. I think he needs to realize this is not a fight I can win and start to fall back, but he does have some rallying support. The Engineer is coming in to assist, though he may do more harm than good to the chances of Queek there. Night Runners unfortunately take a load of blasts and charges. Ironbreakers manage to absorb a lot of the damage from the Death Runners and continue to pursue through. A lot of the Skaven are running in all directions. Balance power is very even still, however. The Storm Vermin, the Plague Monks, they're still there, holding back the Dowie formation, at least for now. But the Plague Claw catapults have been shut down. The Warlock Engineer who dived in to save Queek ended up getting his butt kicked, and now Queek Headtaker, he's done so much damage to Ungrim, but alas, it's not enough. He can't take on the Hero Core here of the Dowie force, and I think Queek is most likely going to break him. With him breaking, the Dwarves are starting to steamroll the Skaven a little bit, but over on this flank, the Ironbreakers are being kited relatively effectively by the Night Runners. A load of damage has been done to them, and we still have a load of Skaven forces still rallying to the cries of their desperate troops. The Rat Ogres are looking to jump the rear here of the Dwarf Warriors with great weapons. That is a fantastic pickup by Ducklin. Take away these units. Every time the Dwarfs overextend, punish them for it. Take out this unit, then move over and take out this unit of Ironbreakers, and that's the best way to try to scrap his way back into the game. Queek was allowed to escape. Likewise, the Warlock Engineer has also managed to rally and can bring some more pain, and the Storm Vermin in the middle are doing such a good job of just being this anchor in the middle of the Skaven line that they can rally back to. They're going to be able to dispatch the Dwarf Warriors here in the front and maybe even push through onto the Iron Dregs if they live that long, because the Death Runners, the sneaky assassins of Clan Eshen, are going to move forward, and it looks like one apiece just to slit the throats of the Iron Dregs. Iron Dregs have good armor, but it's been nuked by the Weeping Blades, and those Iron Dregs are going to be going down very, very quickly. The Dwarves have now formed kind of a death blob here in the center. The main thing the Skaven need to do is skirmish it. Skirmish as much as you can, although he's starting to run out of ammunition, and I think his artillery crews have completely shattered from the battlefield, which is really bad news. Quick Headtaker is just about alive. He has teamed up once again with his favorite bro in the world, the Warlock Engineer, and they're going to be charging after the Ironbreakers. A lovely Warp Lightning does come down, doing some massive damage, but Queek is very fragile right now, only 670 HP left. Rat Ogres are doing a really good job. There's not that many counters left on the field to deal with them, apart from Ungrim and Gotrek, and they're just beating on these Ironbreakers, but Ironbreakers have 67 melee defense. That's no joke. With an overarching view of the battlefield, it does like the Dwarfs are certainly in the ascendancy right now, though they don't have much left. Ducklin knows he needs to win this game, and he is scrapping. He is scrapping so hard. Skaven coming back, isolating Dwarf Warriors, isolating these Ironbreakers, and he might just be able to do it. This Hero Core is very scary, but if he can surround Ungrim as well as Gotrek, they will certainly go down. The Rat Ogres, unfortunately, not quite able to overcome the Ironbreakers. Their Gutter Runner allies ran out of ammunition, which is very problematic for them, and that is going to mean the Rat Ogres are once again running for their lives. Queek is trying to rally the troops to me! To me! Yes, yes, we kill the Dwarfins! But no, his troops don't listen to him. They can't hear him over the screams of their dead kin, and the Skaven are going to scurry away to their lair from whence they came. But that is going to be the third victory in a row for Ree. The legendary God Warrior himself now shall be taking the Teach Me Total War, first ever Teach Me Total War event. He shall be winning it here with a 3-0 in a very impressive finals. Well played to Ducklin, though. Honestly, the scoreboard's a little bit harsh, I think. I think he did amazing, particularly in that Vampire Count game. And in this one, maybe just fighting further away from the catapults, allowing his troops to kind of rally back and plug the gaps once more, maybe would have been enough. But it was, again, a really, really fantastic build. And that switch up of strategy. Okay, I'm going to go defensive. I'm going to go defensive. Going Dwarfs? Aggressive. Flip it on them and scare them a little bit. But well played to Ducklin. I love the build. The quick head taker, 1,166 damage value. Mwah. Beautiful work there by you, Quickie. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. This the double hero and Lord Core is something we've seen a lot from Ree, and it's been very successful for him. A lot of the newer players not kind of knowing how to take it down. You've got to cycle charge it. You have to pick it apart from range and drag the elements of that hero blob apart before jumping in to finish them. The Plague Monks, only 296 damage value, 26 kills. Unfortunately, getting overwhelmed. The Death Runner play was really top-notch. 1,500 and 652 damage value apiece. Taking down those Iron Breakers, taking them from the rear, and also shutting down the Iron Drakes in the later stages. Storm Vermin held the line well, and the ammunition was pretty much all used up on these units. But the best of them only getting 640 damage value. So many shielded dwarves to hit. They didn't really have the best targets. Plague Claw Catapults did some nice work, 34 and 30 kills, but they simply were not firing for long enough. Ungrim Iron Fist, 650 damage value, not too shabby. Felix, 779 and 524 for Gotrek, proving once and for all Ungrim is the better Slayer, but Felix the best warrior out of the trio. Dwarf Warriors just did their job, butchering as many Skaven as possible and driving in to those key elements like the catapults. Slayers did an okay job protecting the back line. They did eventually go down there, and the Ironbreakers were a real top-notch pick from Ree. 840, 964, 1,164, and 998 damage value. Look at those kills, 156. It's wild. They had such a good day, sipping on Bugmans, decapitating Skaven. It's what a dwarf loves to do. The Iron Drakes, unfortunately, not really working as well, but they were shut down rather quickly. GG. Some amazing close games. So well played to Ree. He is going to be taking it 3-0. Let's quickly pop on to the scoreboard and change that. And then I think what we'll do is get Nathan back in to close out the event. So let's pop that up to a 3-0 victory. Very impressive stuff. Oh, I can hear myself like in some kind of reverb.
Oh, that might be mine.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
How you doing?
I am good. Congratulations to Ree. Well done. There was one thing that I think he did really well is stabilizing when things looks like they could have gone wrong.
Yeah.
I think the second game was one that I was from the start. Ducklin definitely did really well getting those fell bats in to behind the lines and onto those dark shards. Did an excellent job of that, and then even did a better job, you know, putting each Vargeist unit on a different focus, but you know, really did a good job of stabilizing. Used his Blackguard and Nagron really well to just defend priority units, and he did the same here. It looked like Ducklin had him when he had the Death Runners coming in at the back, but he was able to save his Iron Breakers and ultimately 3-0 win. Absolutely congratulations to him. Well done.
Yeah, that was a crazy good performance, and I agree fully. I think Ducklin pit Ree in some really awkward situations that maybe at the start of the week he wouldn't have been able to deal with, but the amount he's improved from Falcon's teachings over that time, he's just kind of got a little bit more confidence in him, I think, and he was able to see the situation, read it pretty well, and then counter very quickly, and that, I think, ultimately is what won him the event today.
Definitely, and we can go over to Ree's trainer now because Falcon has just joined us. Hello, Falcon.
The Dark Lord is here.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Dude,
what's up, Falcon? How are you?
Well, I am fucking great. This is ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. I was not expecting a win. Not to say 3-0. This is ridiculous. We were like super scared yesterday. Like we looked at so like in our training sessions, we were losing to Kite like every game. It was so horrible. So we were like, oh no, our opponent either plays Kite or know how to play against Kite. We're screwed. So we tested. That was great. That was awesome. Oh,
so
yeah.
I've got a question for you, Falcon, because you may have been the sneakiest trainer of all time. Did you decide with him yesterday to switch up the playstyle to go more defensive? He just did that naturally.
Well, he's naturally a defensive player. He's a Vampire Coast main. That's the only thing he plays in campaign. So, and like he can't use it on this tournament, right?
Yeah.
So we thought we're It's not that great, and we had to like I have to we will have to work on like more simpler strategies, right? That was basically like all our training. I would just show him basics, and we were making simple strategies. He have like grand total of like I don't know, like one build per faction more or less.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
like
yeah.
OP plays. Yeah. So and like the thing is, I was just trying to focus to actually make him play well as he can. No, like don't bother with like matchups as much. Don't bother with more complex stuff. Just play what you have well, and you'll be fine. Don't worry about like your opponent as much. Worry about just your plays.
Yeah.
And I am so happy, dude. This is
I
great.
can hear it in your voice, man. You said, well done to you as well, man, because you also.
I'm sorry, Nathan. I didn't mean to swear. I swear I didn't mean to swear.
You are okay, no worries. The one-off is fine.
Yeah. No, well deserved, man. You did a really good job getting really up to scratch.
My boy did a very good job.
He did. Honestly, he played pretty phenomenal throughout the whole tournament. Darkling put up a good fight in some of the games as well, made it very close, but really just about managed to pull it through in the end with a good old 3-0 victory. Must feel very good.
I feel just ridiculous. Yes, this is great. This is awesome.
Awesome.
I'm gonna leave you to your devices. Yes, thank you guys. That was great. So, yeah, good job, Nathan. That was awesome.
Yeah, very good job to Nathan.
I am praising you for the event.
I'm praising everyone of you guys for being involved. I'm praising all the trainees as well. I think they did, seeing them train from Monday all the way through to now and how far they've got. I think if anyone who took part in this tournament went into multiplayer now, I mean, surely, I know you, Falcon, you said that they were losing a lot of games in quick bout yesterday, but you have those days. I'm sure they'll have other games where they go on like 2 or 3 games of winning, of like a winning streak.
Friday exactly. He had like 5 games in a row winning. Then he'll get against Titan, but still. Yeah, thank you, Rubber Duck, for trainee.
No worries. No worries.
Yeah, because you're the one that recommended Ree. And like, look, the Ree wanted to reach you. And like, oh hell yeah, sure. Let's play
man, I was gathering a small army to give out to you guys to turn into warriors, and everyone did a really good job. I was actually very surprised by the skill level in the tournament.
Exactly.
Both yesterday and today, I was like 5 days. It's not much, but they'll get the basics and gist of the game, and we started to see a load of real common multiplayer tactics being brought. Looks like Darkling really loved his hammer and anvil tactics, which worked pretty good. But those hero cores were kind of being the problem and trying to figure out how to pick them apart.
Well, that was great.
Speaking of Darkling,
I'm gonna go. Oh, Darkling, GG boy, that was great.
Darkling is here, yes.
See you, champ. Thank you for having me.
No worries. Catch you later, Falcon.
Yep.
Awesome stuff.
But we have Ducklin here now. We'll speak to him first before speaking to the winner, Ree. Ducklin, how has the experience been for you?
How what?
Has the experience been for you? Commiserations, but second place, something to be very, very proud about.
Yeah, second place is good. It was actually much difficult than any of my other fights. So usually, as you saw, I used cavalry a lot, which didn't really work at the time.
Your cavalry play was really nice, though. I must admit, the Hex Wraiths, that was a real sneaky scheme which nearly paid off, but it was Marathi was kind of the problem in that matchup, I think, for you.
Yeah, and also the fact that I believe one of the executioners of Harganet, they did not shatter despite only having 2 units left. Yeah, that was annoying.
Yeah, those elite troops, man, they don't want to run away, and they just stand there, and you're trying to break them for so long can be really frustrating, for sure. But,
yeah.
You can definitely hold your head high, man, though. I think in all 3 of the games, it could have gone either way. There were just like 1 or 2 moments where we ended up switching it up. And I also think Ree kind of changing his playstyle for the day might have taken you aback, but you reacted very quickly and put up a fantastic scrap.
Yeah, the main thing I'd say was that I don't actually know much about Skaven. So his W-Son told me about the Assassin's Trophy. I had no idea about that until it popped. Yeah.
Yeah, Assassin's Trophy and Rival High Talisman are both pretty scary stuff.
Yeah. I didn't know that was going to happen, so I didn't think I was going to lose that fight. I thought I was going to win the cavalry fight, kill the Hellpit Abomination and the generals. Easy.
Yeah, it was a close game, man. Well, very well done. You have managed to win some prizes as well. I'll obviously let Nathan contact you about them at a later date. But well done, man. It's been awesome seeing you play, both yesterday and today as well. So thank you for taking part.
It was a pleasure being here. Thanks for having the tournament.
No worries, dude. No worries. Hopefully we'll run into each other on quick battles at some point soon.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll see you soon then.
Catch you later, bro.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that was Ducklin there, coming in with a strong second place. Doing really fantastic and max amount of points on day one. And unfortunately was overpowered at the end there by Ree. But I think we do have Ree possibly going to be popping in to do a little bit of an interview and celebrating his victory before we wrap up this event today.
Here he is.
Hello, hello.
Hey man, that must feel pretty good.
Congratulations!
I wasn't expecting to win actually today, but
yeah,
I guess I did somehow.
How are you feeling?
Pretty great actually.
Yeah? You played really well, man, honestly. You played some fantastic games. I'm a massive fan of your dwarf build, by the way. Going aggressive with dwarfs, I don't think people are used to it.
It's an aggressive and simple to micro build. Like Falcon wanted to teach me how to play like with the most simplest ways of playing and rushing as well. So I was like, yeah, sure. Like he started explaining me the units individually, and well, he helped me pick some of the core goals of each faction. I guess like every faction that I used to play yesterday was all about rushing. So I was like, okay, but each faction has different units. So how am I supposed to know which one like has the best chance to rush, or how do I rush and stuff like that? And he just explained to me real quick before yesterday, not yesterday, because yesterday I already had to have my strategy.
Yeah.
But yeah, these days I just spent like a total of 10 hours in multiplayer just trying to understand how to play rush. And then yesterday Falcon told me that Duckling will probably counter me because, well, he knows about my strategy. And I asked him, what if I just went a little bit defensive? And he was like, yeah, sure, you can try it. And, well, I changed my strategy a little bit. It's still the same as the other builds, but I added some more firepower, like artillery and stuff, and just stood my ground because that's what I am good at.
It definitely paid off, man, 100%, because I was speaking to the coach of your opponent today, and they had reviewed some of your games from yesterday, and seen that you like to play this kind of rush, aggressive style of play. I think mixing up kind of took away a bit of their preparation and gave you a really good foot up there in the first couple of games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I was expecting him to just go full kite on me and I'll just lose because I can't really play against kite, but he didn't. So I'm like, nice. I'm glad.
Yeah, of course, man. Man, you should be very proud. You've come a very long way in quite a short time, and yeah, you've won Teach Me Total War, so well done to you, man.
Thank you.
I'm sure Nathan will contact you a little later on about getting you your prizes and all that awesome stuff. So make sure you enjoy them.
I will.
Cool, man. Thanks for coming in and chatting with us here.
Thank you.
I love it. Awesome. Well, Nathan, do you have any final words or final statements or anything before we close out the tournament today?
I guess I've just got to say congratulations to Ree, and thank you to everyone who took part. Yourself as well included. Thank you very much for not only training someone, but to also cast this as well, to agree to be part of this. Congratulations to Ree and Duckling for making it through to the finals. Both of you get a copy of Warhammer 3. And Ree, you'll be getting your Tassel Hat prize as well as Falcon for the engraved mug. Everyone who is involved, though, will be getting a Teach Me Total War mug. So thank you so much to everyone involved and to everyone who has come in to watch the stream.
Yeah, that's a good shout. You guys at home watching this, you're the reason we kind of create content like this. So thank you so much. You guys are the real champions, alongside Nathan as well. He's always very modest when he comes onto the voice chats, but this event honestly wouldn't have happened without him. So thank you once again for allowing us to host these on, the Crave Assembly's Twitch and YouTube channels.
It's been, you know what, it's been amazing to be part of. It's been amazing to kind of build up, and hopefully this isn't the last one. Hopefully this is the first of many.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna leave it on that bombshell. I think maybe the first of many. I think that's it for the stream. Thank you guys so much once again. Well played to Ree for being victorious today. All of the teachers today were content creators, so make sure to go check out their stuff. We've kind of had them all on for discussions over the course of this whole tournament. And until next time, guys, peace. And as always, stay